Hey, welcome to the Christmas Summit Podcast. It was a Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday morning, December 25th, and under the tree, there's a good chance that Santa brought you Star Wars, Transformers, Care Bears, G.I. Joe, and Strawberry Shortcake, Cabbage Patch Kids, and, of course, Masters of the Universe. Over the years that we're going to talk about, numerous events happened. The United States hosted some Summer Olympics, Reagan was president, the Cold War tensions, McDonald's debuted the McNugget, Ozzy bit the head off a bat, Letterman debuted, Epcot opened in Florida, and E.T., he phoned home. But today, we're going to discuss the year in Christmas 1984, 1983, and 1982. So why are we covering all these years? Well, we just could not get our butts together and make it happen over Christmas. And so now we have to talk about 3 years instead of one. But let me introduce my guests. They are the same guys that have been joining me for all of these discussions. Hey, guys, welcome back. Are you guys ready to talk about more 80s? Because I'm sure you don't do that enough.
That's right.
Never enough. There's never enough.
Yeah. So let me introduce everybody here. So up first is Tim from the 80s Flick Flashback podcast, discussing 80s flicks, memories, scenes, and stories about the movie. Tim recently covered two movies that I absolutely love and have nothing to do with Christmas. The first was Hoosiers, but the second one was Six Pack, and I was a 1980s Kenny Rogers fan for some reason.
Yes.
Tim, question for you. If you had to choose to relive 1 year out of the 80s, which year would you choose?
Ooh, that's a good one. The first one that popped in my head was 85. I don't know why. I just think, but I know that's like the middle of the decade. So it was the most 80s the 80s were. Because if you go too early 80s, you're getting a little bit of the 70s. You get too late in the 80s, you're leaning into the 90s. So I'm going to go right in the middle with 85.
Okay, cool. So up next, he's the biggest Mama's Family fan after I guested on his show and introduced him to the world of Mama's Family. Mike from the podcast Advent Calendar House. The podcast is a salute to all holiday specials, but just mostly the Christmas ones. Mike, same question for you. If you had to choose and relive 1 year out of the 80s, which year would it be?
If we're talking simply Christmas, I got to go with 1987 because that's when all of my favorite Christmas specials came out. You had Muppet Family Christmas, you had Claymation, you had Garfield, you had 'Tis the Season to be Smurfy. That was a hotbed for Christmas specials that year. So I'm going with 87.
Okay, but I don't think there was a Mama's Family episode that year.
No, not that year, but yeah. They reran that one that we watched because that was the year before, so it's all good.
All right. And the guy who's on everybody's podcast and YouTube channel is Gerry from Totally Rad Christmas. If it was gnarly during the Christmas in the 80s, he's got it covered. But I'm not sure if I should have him on anymore. It's been 3 years, and not only was I snubbed once again in the Ratty Awards, but I wasn't even invited to the red carpet. Gerry, I will ask you the same question, though, in a different way. If I was to hit you with a toaster to go back in time, which year of the 80s would you choose?
Ooh, if we're just talking 80s in general, it's either 85 or 89. 89 because Batman came out in the theaters, and it was ridiculously awesome to a 9-year-old kid. 85 also had some fantastic movies, though. But also, if we're talking Christmas, I mean, Mike has a great answer with 87. Yeah. It's really hard to top 87. There was a lot of stuff then, like a lot. And the Claymation Christmas is one that is like one of my all-time favorite specials, even though it doesn't make any sense. But neither really do the 80s. So, I'll probably also stick with the 87 for that. But 89 would be my first choice as far as movies and just generic 80s go.
So, Chad from the Christmas Cousins, woohoo, Gerry is the most popular and sexiest man in Christmas. So,
all right.
Listen,
it's
probably good that you missed the Raddies this year. I got kidnapped.
Yeah, but
I did hear that.
I got kidnapped. I also cleaned up during these Raddies, so
yeah, you
I
did.
guess I can't complain.
Yeah,
That's
I've yet.
up to the voters. I don't do anything
Oh,
except
come on,
tally
Gerry.
the votes.
I can hand you some money over. You're the one who records all of these. You know, what do I have to do to get a ratty? You know, I mean,
Well, you do have a technical ratty.
That's
but I'll
that's not the way.
all
I need
right,
to
I'll get you on I'll get
we
you on
need
like
to-
a primo episode, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, hey, we're here to talk about the 80s because that's what we all do and love. Well, I don't always do it, but lately I have because I have been working on my series for the past 2 years of the year in Christmas. I have just hit year of 1982. I have 2 years left of the 80s. But we also have been discussing them, and we missed 1984, 1983, and 1982. We were way too busy. Christmas got in the way, and then everything else got in the way. So we've got a lot to talk about tonight. So we're going to quickly go through 27 movies, TVs, commercials from these 3 years. These were all ones that these guys have told me this is the best of those years. Let's start talking about it. So up first, we are going to talk about Christmas Comes to Packland, the highlight for me of 1982. What do you guys think?
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when I covered it on my show, we got into wormholes, alternate dimensions, and cannibalistic ghosts. But I mean,
yeah.
Pac-Man was like everything in the early 80s, right? I mean, you'd go to Pizza Hut and they'd have the tabletop Ms. Pac-Man or Pac-Man game. It's fun. And then when you get Santa and Christmas in there and Pac-Man has to help save Christmas, I mean, it's a win for me.
Mm-hmm.
Pac-Man fever.
Yep.
That's right.
Well,
This is
truth
one
be told, go ahead.
This is one I remembered watching as a kid, and then I forgot about it completely. And then when Cartoon Network came around, they started rerunning all these old specials, and this was the first one I remember watching. I'm like, oh, I remember watching that. So, and then since then, I have made it a point to catch it almost every year. Maybe not every year, but it's a favorite of mine.
Yeah, this is actually one I did not see in the 80s. I don't know why I never saw it, but I didn't. I did catch it probably about 10 years ago when someone said, have you ever seen the Christmas Come to Packland? And I'm like, no. It's not exactly been shown on TV recently, and so you had to find it on the internet where and most people find it these days. It's fairly free, although I did get a copyright strike on it. I had to clear that out and try to re-edit it so that it could I would not get a copyright claim, I guess, on Christmas Come to Packland, which really surprised me because it's on the Internet Archive for free to download. So, but whatever, you know, it's you never know how the YouTube gods are gonna to play out. So Alan Parton says the Christmas Story movie came out in 1983. And of course, yes, we will be talking about that. But in 1983, Mickey's Christmas Carol.
I think this technically is the first thing I saw in a movie theater because they put it in front of a re-release of The Rescuers. Mm-hmm. And I went to that. I was 3 years old. So this is the first thing I saw on a big screen.
Wow.
I will say not the first thing I saw on big screen, but the first version of A Christmas Carol that I ever saw. So it was my introduction to A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It might be mine as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe. I remember vividly seeing this at my grandparents' house when it premiered on TV or whatever. But I just remember like it feeling like watching a real movie at home on TV. Like it was like the best animation. Why that stuck in my mind at that age, but it was just like, this is like so much better than regular cartoons. But yeah, it might have been the first. It might have been the first version of Christmas Carol that I saw. But yeah, I love Mickey's Christmas Carol. It's one of my favorites for sure.
And I still to this day, every time the word pistachio comes up, I still think of the Ghost of Christmas Present trying to say it. With yogurt.
Oh, Willie the Giant.
So it's hard, you know. I probably saw this in the 80s. I don't remember when I saw it. I know I saw it growing up. It's probably the same first version of the Christmas Carol that I saw as well. It's not like I was sitting there trying to watch these old versions on TV
Right.
of that. You know, it wasn't cartoon. This was.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a hard time watching this now without hearing the DuckTales theme or anything like that, because it's just
I
Yeah,
understand.
you know,
I
Yep,
understand.
when I was a kid and DuckTales started, I was very confused. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
is this a sequel to A Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
it is very strange. Yeah, it caught me off guard because, again, you know, he's Scrooge McDuck, but
Hmm.
he
Right.
also likes to go on adventures. So, but Pepper Tree Villa's watching. So we love Christmas Carol, and Mark's W says this is the first version of Christmas Carol he saw as well. So it sounds like anybody that is around, roughly our age is the time where this is the first version they saw. And Alan has a question: you ever make a DuckTales Christmas show?
In
The new one.
2018,
Yeah.
there's
The
a
remake.
Christmas episode of that, but not the 80s version. I have
Yeah.
looked, but there is a one of the more modern version where it's David Tennant as Uncle Scrooge.
Did you
It's
Yeah.
guys
good.
like?
It is
did you like the
also a
remakes?
Christmas
It is,
Carol.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where
Okay.
where Scrooge McDuck like actually hangs out with the Christmas
Santa,
ghosts.
right?
They're all pals. Yeah, Santa shows up. It's a fun
Mhm.
one. That's a good series.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, give it a watch.
is.
It's actually
It's a
really,
worthy
really good.
successor. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The closest the original got as far as animation was they came out in a commercial. It was like a short little commercial in '91, but
Mhm.
there's no Christmas episode. I've been trying to find a way to like cover DuckTales officially, and that's like the closest I got, except for like a
No,
a Christmas book. So
Oh, okay.
I might do that.
You'll figure it
And then
out.
you
I
have
know you.
have Uncle Scrooge. You have Uncle Scrooge in Mickey's Once and Twice Upon a Christmas. He's a character in both of those.
Yeah.
And he loves Christmas in both of those. This is like reformed Uncle Scrooge in real life.
Yep. And Ben from Pepper Tree Villa says he loves this one as well. So, very popular one from 1983. But let's move on to 1984. Kenny and Dolly.
Kenny and
Tim, I
This-
believe
this
this is your jam.
Yes, this is ultimate Christmas nostalgia for me. I remember I was a big Kenny Rogers fan, as we've already talked about with Six Pack, and my mom was a big fan of Dolly Parton. And I remember this TV special came on, we watched it, and I had to get my mom the soundtrack because they had the full album, and this is back when it was the LP album. And that
Right.
was also the year that my dad wanted to buy my mom a microwave, which was, that was high tech.
That's a high
Expensive,
Wow.
like
Yeah, it
it
was
was
in the '80s.
it was the size of our oven we have today. I mean, it was huge, and I wanted to like put the album in the microwave so when you open the microwave, you see it, but it wouldn't fit. But I still have
It
the album.
spins
to this
around.
day.
It looks like a
Right.
record player.
Yeah,
Exactly. But yeah, I still have this LP to this day, and I have a Christmas playlist that I play every year. That's like 10 hours long, and just about every song from this album is on it because we would listen to it, sing it every Christmas. This is like, if there is a TV special that defines my childhood, this is the one. So glad to be talking about it.
Yeah. This is the
Yeah.
special that kind of weirds me out a little bit in when they appear
This
with the
one,
elves.
out of all of the Dolly Parton, never mind. We already talked about Smoky Mountain Christmas. That's the weird one.
well, only because there's a section where they have like some elves that are dancing, and
Mhm.
the elves have the strangest makeup and like ears. They're like different colors, and it's just
Yeah, they do.
as a kid, I was like, "What is going on? I don't understand this." And yeah, but it's a cute little thing. You can tell they have a lot of chemistry, and
Mhm.
they're like trying to get their schedules worked out. And there's a few skits here and there in it also. But basically, anytime they're singing together, it's great.
Mhm.
It's just as CJ would say, just pouring hot chocolate over my heart. So it's
Well,
Yeah. I mean, it's literally just a collection of music videos that they
Right,
try
yeah.
to stitch together. I mean, it doesn't hold up that well. Like I've went back and watched it in the last couple of years. I'm like, the memory of it is better than actually watching it and just listening to the album because it is very dated, very, very dated, but I still love it.
Yeah, I actually had never seen this until I made 1984s. I had never watched it. Now, I was a Kenny Rogers fan, but only the "Love Will Turn You Around" song. That's really that was as far as I got. But I had a hard time tracking down a full version of it. I did get clips. I did get pieces of it. Trying to show part of it that didn't have music in it was real tough because that was not going to get past YouTube. That was for sure.
Right.
But I did find a clip of it, and I think it was just a funny thing of where Dolly Parton calls him fat or something like that. It was pretty funny.
That was a clip.
Talking about padding for the Santa suit.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was it. Mark agrees with you, Tim. This is the greatest Christmas special of all time. Who doesn't love Kenny and Dolly? So
my man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are moving along. Let's go back to 1982 for the E.T. Atari video game. And what normally we would not just talk about a specific Atari game, but there was a commercial in 1982 where Atari thought this is going to be huge. This is going to be what everybody wants for Christmas in 1982, and they made a Christmas commercial of E.T. walking into someone's house to play the E.T. Atari game, and all the kids are amazed that E.T.'s there because this is going to be the greatest Atari game ever. And of course, we know that this is what pretty much killed Atari because apparently people did not like this game. I will now say I liked it. I owned it. I played it all the time.
We found him, everyone. We found the
one guy.
The one person, yeah.
Listen, for those of you who don't know the story behind the E.T. Atari game, it was such a failure that they literally buried copies in the desert when Atari went under. People went back years later because they thought it was like an urban legend. But no, they dug up these copies. They really buried these. It was that bad.
Yeah, and really, it's so the programmer, he only had, I think, like 4 to 6 weeks to get it done. So being cocky, I mean, he admitted this himself. He was very, very cocky. He's like, I can get it done. And apparently, there's a huge glitch that if you fall in one of the pits, that's it. Like you're never getting out, no matter what you do. And so people hated it because of that. And,
I'll admit it's annoying to play at some points. You're trying to get out and you're just about to get out, and then you let go of the button too soon and you fall back down. And I get it. It sucks, but I don't know. Whenever I heard that, learned about the backlash of it and how they buried them, and there was a documentary on YouTube about finding them, and I think it was the Angry Video Game Guy nerd. I think he put something together about finding them, and I think his movie was all about that. It's fascinating because I really think there's worse Atari games. I really do. I really do. I mean, but it was a failure. But E.T. was a good movie at least. So,
and the commercial was cute.
Yeah.
It was a very nice looking commercial.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's where they put all their money, and then they had no money after.
Yeah.
Okay. So Alan says, the commercial was great. The game was horrible. Pepper Tree Villa said, I had an Atari VCR, but never got this game. I didn't know. Did Atari make VCRs? Is that just a brand?
I don't know if he meant to type something else or what.
Yeah.
But
there is a VCS, like that's what they called their video.
Oh, yes.
VCS was the console.
Yeah. Okay. He says Atari VCS, so he said that in the next one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was only 3 in 82. In that screenshot, it looks like Ernie's playing against E.T.
Ernie, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Elliot does not look like Elliot. So,
no.
All right, let's move on before I get more hate for loving the E.T. Atari video game. All right, none of you guys picked this, but I threw it in here because I think it's worthy of discussing.
Oh yeah,
yes. Nightrider. one of my favorite shows of all time. About I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago, I did a special about what TV shows never had a Christmas special, and I said Nightrider never had one, and then I completely forgot of this amazing episode of Nightrider, and I felt dumb because I'm such a huge Nightrider fan. I'm like, how did I forget about that? But then I rewatched it a few times, and I'm like, that's why I forgot about it, because it's not a good episode.
It's not really Christmassy at all. There's they talk about gypsies a lot, which
dear,
standards is probably problematic. And
that's why I forgot it. you
blocked
it out.
Well, it does have Kit trying to figure out what to get Michael for Christmas, which is a fun little thing. And then Michael says the only thing he doesn't want is Argyle socks for some reason, and then Kit gets him Argyle socks at the end, and I don't know how he buys it. I guess Bonnie helps him or something like that. But it's not a great episode, but it is a Nightrider episode, and Nightrider was the coolest show in the 80s for me. So absolutely. I wanted to make sure we represented it. So
I will take all of your Argyle socks.
For real.
Love a good pair of socks for Christmas.
All right. So a couple of you guys said that Night Court Santa Goes Downtown is one of the best things of the 80s in 1984. This is where Michael J. Fox, for some reason, gets hugged by by Harry at the end, and it's such a weird hug, and it's a weird ending, but it is a fun episode. So what do you guys think of Night Court Santa Goes Downtown?
So this was the second ever episode of Night Court.
Right.
It was in January. Yeah, yes. And it was in January, like the 10th or something, or the 11th. It's so strange. But I do like how this guy's implied not to be Santa, and then at the end we find out that he actually knew all the stuff about Michael J. Fox, only like as if Santa knew it, personally. And then we get the obligatory Santa callbacks at the end. But it's a very melodramatic episode, but still kept the humor of Night Court, which I loved.
Yeah. Night Court was still trying to figure itself out, much like the reboot is still trying to figure itself out. We won't get into that, but yeah, it was great to see Michael J. Fox there, being like real serious, not playing his typical Alex P. Keaton self. So that was cool. But yeah, I love Night Court. I mean, Gerry and I did an episode on this episode, so we've talked about it extensively. But yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a fun episode. I had forgotten. I don't know, for some reason I hadn't seen it in a while, but when I put this episode in, I started watching. I'm like, oh, this is the one where Michael J. Fox is in it. And then when I watch all the TV episodes, and I'm like, all right, what's the clip I'm going to use? Definitely have to use in here. And then when I got to the hugging, I'm like, all right, that's it's just a weird part of the episode, because Harry's trying to, he's like, well, all you need is a hug because you've lived such a hard life.
Right.
It's the
that was the 80s.
Parenting.
That's the 80s.
That's right.
It's got to be summed up in 20 minutes or less. So
you just hug it out.
Right. I would, if Judge Harry Stone hugged me, all my problems would be gone.
That's right. But it was interesting to see Michael J. Fox as more of like a rebellious, kid.
Yeah,
like the bad boy. Like, what? Okay.
Yeah, and truth be told, it's actually a really funny episode. Even though it is the second episode, which is crazy, and obviously it's probably was meant to come out, I think, before Christmas, but they just moved it.
Right.
I mean, why would you start with her in January for Christmas episode?
It's probably like one of those like mid-season shows. Hey, we're starting this new show.
Yeah.
Right, mid-season replacement. Yeah.
But what's really fun is Dan is already spot on, because when he talks about what they stole and how they stole it and the quick humor of it. Like the cast was already pretty good. Obviously, a few of them in this, one of them in this picture was no longer in the cast after the first year.
Right.
But
Right.
they had it down. Like they were really good even in this second episode. So I've not watched the reboot, and it sounds like, Tim, I should stay away from it.
The first season was not bad, but it just go like using this episode example. Yeah, it's kind of melodramatic, but the first couple of seasons of the original Night Court, it is funny, but there was still heart, and there was like had something to say. And the new Night Court now is just going for laughs, and it just feels empty. So it just doesn't have the same magic that the original did.
Yeah, well, you can't expect it to. I think, So
I like the people that are in it, but the show as a whole doesn't hold me. So that's the problem.
Well, let's go back to 1982, the McDonald's skating commercial, and I found the most scariest clip ever of Ronald McDonald.
And you all know this commercial. It's the one where the kids are all out skating on this pond with little magical forest creatures watching them, and there's the one little boy who can't stay up on his ice skates and he keeps falling, and then Ronald McDonald shows up and is skating with everybody except for this kid who can't skate with them, and it looks like Ronald's about to leave for the day. And this kid's just like feels distraught, but then Ronald circles back and like picks the kid up, and they have a little moment. Yeah, brings him back to his friends. It's a great little commercial, and they showed it for years and years and years, but it debuted in 1982.
Yeah, that was the hard thing I had. I think I actually put this in a year later on. I don't remember which one it was, because it's hard to tell sometimes with these commercials like what year it actually debuted. There's not always a good record of it. And then after I put it in, someone said, of course, there's somebody on the internet has to tell you were wrong. Big surprise. And so he says, you don't know what you're talking about. That McDonald's commercial came out in 1982. And I'm like,
well, here's the thing. They had to recut a bunch of things because they had different actors for Ronald come in, and then McDonald's would change its little jingle. So every time they changed the jingle and every time they changed the actor who played Ronald, they recut bits of this commercial. So by the end of it, there were seven different cuts of this one spot.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy, and it's well documented on the McDonald's wiki.
Yeah. It is funny because sometimes you're searching for info for these commercials, and the McDonald's one seems to have the most comprehensive documents about.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna have to go back and read that now because, truthfully, with the commercials, I kind of skim through. What's great is that what I love is when people put up recordings from a whole evening of shows and stuff, because then you can actually really see the commercials that aired, and you can sometimes find some really good gems that you can't find online. And I remember when I found a really good version of this, and I was able to use it in my 1982 videos at the very end. I kept it at the very end because I thought, well, if we're going to use this commercial again in my year and Christmas videos, at least let me put it at the end instead of the middle. But yeah, it's fun, and now I'm going to have to go back in and read the history because clearly there's a lot of people commenting on it. That commercial, Laugh Out Loud, Pepper Tree Villa, and Mark, he remembers this as well. I think it's one of the more iconic Christmas McDonald's commercials. They have a ton of them. And
and because this lasted for so long, they ran it through the 80s and I think into the early 90s, and of course McDonald's sponsored every Christmas special through the 80s. So you saw this in every special, and if you recorded them off the TV, you saw them year after year after year. So it was unavoidable.
1983. I added this one.
Oh, them Dukes!
Yeah,
I added this one. Yeah, none of you guys chose this one, but I threw it in just because I have to talk about it. The Dukes, A Dickens of a Christmas. The Dukes of Hazzard cartoon in the 80s.
Yeah.
I hated it when I was a kid because it was so stupid. Um,
It's like Wacky Races meets the Dukes of
Yeah.
Hazzard, right? I mean,
Yeah, it kind of is.
and I remember watching it and being all excited. I'm like, what the heck? What is this that they're doing? They're driving around the world in a race. And it's nothing like the TV show, and it made me angry. And of course, then I got to revisit when I made this video, and I watched that episode, and I'm like, yeah, it's still awful, but there was something amazing about it because one, it's all mostly same voices, it's the same cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's great.
looking at you, real Ghostbusters.
But yeah, and I was trying to find other episodes of it, but it's real hard to find any good versions of these anymore. Because obviously it didn't last nearly as long. But I don't know. It was a highlight when I got to rewatch it again. I don't know if you guys have watched it lately or watched it.
It's
in the
been
80s.
a while because for a long, like you said, for a long time, it's been hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it first season. I did an episode on it way back in 2020. So it's been 5 years, but before then I hadn't seen it since probably the 80s. So,
Yeah.
I honestly forgot this existed until it was on your video. So I had blocked. I love the Dukes of Hazzard TV show.
yeah.
I must have blocked the cartoon out of my mind because I was like, "This was real. Do I remember this?" And I didn't. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not on
This is the
YouTube.
one where they're doing a Christmas Carol here, right? It's like Boss Hog and the
Yeah.
Scrooge roll. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best part is at the very end, Boss Hog has a change of heart, and the ghosts are watching, and they said, "So you think he's changed?" And he goes, "Well, maybe," because
Until
he's
next
not.
episode.
Exactly. But I found a copy of this on Daily Motion. Some guy had a version. It's not even a very good version because it's like it looks like it's been filmed like from TV or something like that because it's all at an angle. I had to straighten it and do all sorts of stuff to make it at least watchable. But that's the only place I could find it. I looked everywhere. So, was there some gems for the entire season of this show? I don't remember. Probably not. So, Pepper Tree Villa agrees. It was It was just like Wacky Races. So dumb. So, but let's move on to 1984. Night of the Comet.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I had never seen this movie until I had to make this video, and I still haven't seen the entire movie because I could only find clips of it. So you guys got to tell me about
Tubi,
this.
I think.
yeah. I think it's on.
Is it?
It's been on Tubi for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to go back and revisit it. But why don't you guys tell me about it? Because again, I only showed a tiny clip of it, and it was this clip of the person dressed as Santa.
Yeah, well, that's probably the most Christmassy part of the movie is him dressed as Santa, but it does take place at Christmas. So
Yeah, it's essentially there's a big comet's going to pass over and everybody's like jazzed to see it. People organize parties, and there's the two main girls they stay inside, they don't watch it, and everybody that watched it essentially turned into like red dust, and those that didn't become zombies, or they start to zombify. It's a little bit slower process. And so it's these girls and Chakotay from Star Trek Voyager, and they just kind of live it up in the empty world while battling zombies and meeting scientists.
I'm in.
So,
yeah, then you got yeah. Then you got the scientists that have they have the scientists that have the formula or something to it's been a while since I watched it, but they have some formula they're trying to experiment on, and they cross paths. So
Right.
yeah, it's fun, totally 80s. As Gerry would say, Christmas adjacent.
yeah,
movie.
definitely Christmas adjacent. Yeah.
So is this woman pointing a gun at a zombie Santa? What's going on here?
No, he was so they befriend the guy, and he left them there at the radio station, and he came back. He was trying to surprise them dressed as Santa Claus with some flowers, but they had already been kidnapped by the scientists. So,
And so this is one of the scientists that stayed back, but
Mhm.
she knew that the other scientists were all exposed and were going to be turning into zombies pretty soon
Mhm.
anyway. And so first she puts the gun on him, and then she talks it out and tells him where they are, and he goes to save them.
So yeah, so like I said, when I came to this and I was like, okay, I have to find a movie called Night of the Comet. I have never heard of it. So I did a search for it. I couldn't find the full version of it. But then on YouTube, there was this clip of him running around the town. It's in a red sky. He's dressed as Santa. I'm like, okay, that's good enough.
Yeah.
that's all I needed. And
Really
I
it is,
guess
yeah.
that is probably the most Christmassy part of sounds like of the movie. So I probably didn't need to watch it, but I'm gonna watch it now because now you've intrigued me. It sounds like something I might want to watch.
It's just stupid 80s fun, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
don't
So-
expect anything great, but yeah.
Well, yeah, wasn't going to expect anything. Else.
Smart, yeah.
Zombies in a Mall, Christmas time, a real heartwarmer. So, let's go back to 1982 though.
Okay.
The Love
gosh.
Boat,
Yeah.
the Christmas presents, and
Oh
I
my
like-
goodness.
there's two shows in the 80s, drama shows in the 80s that I loved: Nightrider, and I loved The Love Boat. And
What a combo.
these were two shows that I absolutely adored watching. I don't, Nightrider I understood as a kid. Love Boat, I don't know why I watched it, but I did.
I did too. I say that, but it was that show that came on in the afternoon, like the reruns. Like I didn't realize how much of it was actually in the 70s because I watched it so much in the 80s. But I literally would watch like 3 or 4 episodes. They must have ran them like back to back to back when I got home from school. And I at one point I found a pair of glasses like they didn't have the actual glass, they're just the rims at my babysitter's house, and I would walk around saying I was Doc because I wanted to be Doc.
He was the ladies' man.
Good night,
so I
Good
mean,
night,
why?
everybody. It's been great being here on the show. Thanks for having me.
But this is a crazy episode.
It is.
Mike,
It
I
is.
think you covered it. I think I heard your
I covered it
episode
last
of
year.
it.
It was the first time I ever watched it last year, and it was just so bonkers. I just fell in love with it immediately. You have Mickey Rooney is this Christmas angel who is showing up for this cruise that people are on, and he's just helping people who are on board who have problems. You have a couple who are on the verge of separating. It's Donny Osmond and Maureen McCormick as this quarreling couple, and he kind of
Nice.
gets them to talk out their problems. You have boys choir, who like an orphan boys choir who lives at a convent, and one of the boys is really sick, and they have to operate on him on the boat, and he helps like get his voice back.
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that's right.
like Donny Osmond and Marina Cormick, spoilers, adopt this kid. They adopt Rodrigo. You have a couple of thieves who are trying to smuggle gold into Mexico when they stop in Acapulco. And Mickey Rooney keeps getting in their way. No one knows that he's this angel. He's just this annoying guy who decides to butt in on everybody's conversations on the boat.
As angels often do.
Yes,
As angels often do.
and his name
That's
is
right.
Dominicus Angelarum.
Angelarum.
Angelarum,
Yeah, it's just like, wow, that's, yeah.
No.
That's
But,
like Harry Potter name levels of spoilers.
For real.
Hey, here's your new teacher, Wolfie McWolfface.
This episode, and I hate to say it, this is not the weirdest Love Boat episode I've ever seen. It's actually kind of normal. It like for the
Yeah.
most part, but I love it. It's the best Christmas one. I've seen all the Christmas ones. I seek them out all the time. I watch this one a lot. I don't know why. It's not great, but it is still. It's a fun watch because it's so weird. Mickey Rooney.
It's a fun watch.
And then at the end, when they're like, "We haven't seen him. Where'd he go?" And they said, "Well, he'll appear whenever you look. When you're looking." And they look up, and you see this creepy doll, and then they start
This is
smiling.
the screenshot.
And then when they look back, they pan back, it's his head now put onto the doll, and he winks at them, and they're all like, "Oh, there he is!"
In glorious 1982 blue screen.
That's right.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think I also do love it because I'm a huge Brady Bunch fan. Seeing Maureen McCormick, Marsha Brady, not
Sure.
playing Marsha Brady, which is, you know,
1982 Marsha Brady too. So like,
yes.
she's a little older and looking great.
Yeah. And for me, too, when
And
I
Johnny
was
Osmond in his beard. Johnny Osmond's got a full beard in this. That threw me off.
Well, it also, since I was such a Brady's fan, you know, I wasn't bored when the show was on, so I lived through reruns. I'm old, but I'm not that old. You know, you didn't see the Brady Bunch outside. Most of them didn't have a career afterwards. You know, they just relived all the
Right.
they just played their same characters over and over again. So when you would see the Brady Bunch characters, you know, like on the Love Boat, like, because they were all on the Love Boat at some point, it was just like, oh my God, that's weird. You know, that's I'm not used to that when I would watch this as a kid. So that was my big memory from this one. If you haven't watched it, go out, it's on YouTube. Just go and watch it. It is hysterical. Check out the other Love Boat episodes as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, they have all the seasons on Paramount Plus and on Pluto TV, I think.
Pluto is where I watched
Pluto.
it.
Yeah. It has its own channel on Pluto TV.
my mom always had to watch it. It's the only reason I remember it.
That was me with Dynasty and Falcon Crest.
Mickey Rooney
Falcon
is
Crest, yeah.
no angel.
No, he's Santa.
Yes, he is. He's Santa. They had to make all the Christmas ornaments in an episode. That is true because Gopher
they made,
bought
like,
some.
paper
Oh, right.
chain.
Yeah.
He bought some,
And then he
but
fell down the stairs.
Down the stairs, yeah, which was actually a really good. The stunt guy did a real good job with that.
Oh, the pratfall was beautiful.
Oh yeah. And then some kids called me Gopher in junior highs because I looked a little like Fred Gandy. So, Alan has a question. Did they make a Fantasy Island Christmas episode?
Gerry.
Yeah, see, that's a show I can't
don't
find
actually
as
recall.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. Not that they didn't, but I don't remember one.
I don't.
But
either.
I didn't really watch a lot of Fantasy Island, so I'm not positive on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I get to the years that when was Fantasy Island on? That was a late
It
70s
was around
show,
the,
right?
yeah, it was like the same
That
time as
creeped
Love
into
Boat.
the 80s, though.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but
it
it wasn't on as long. It only had like 4 or 5 seasons, I think.
well, I haven't come across one yet, but if there is one, there will.
So yes, they
we will
did.
see. Okay, what year?
Well, no, actually, never mind. It's it's from the reboot, the 2021.
Uh,
Oh.
Ooh,
so
that was
it sounds
terrible.
like sounds like they didn't, but
Yeah.
cool. But
never
let's
mind.
move on to 1983. Alice, 'tis the season to be jealous.
Alice.
Kiss my grits.
We used to
Mhm.
watch Alice a lot. That was
Yeah,
one of our
yep.
shows. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, so good. Mel and
Yeah.
Flow.
Kiss my grits.
Yeah. So
That's right.
So this episode was in the later years of Alice, which was not a good.
Mhm.
It was not.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And it does star Candace Cameron in her first role. She
Mhm.
plays a little
Oh.
girl in this. At the end, she's waiting to see Santa, and Vera, for some reason, I can't remember the exact circumstances. I think her boyfriend was undercover as a cop, and he went chasing
right,
after
yeah.
somebody. And so Vera then pretended to be Mrs. Claus, and the episode ends with Candace Cameron sitting on Vera's lap, and then it goes to credits or whatever.
Oh.
But I loved Alice as a kid. I gotta
Mhm.
tell you, I'll tell this story because it's funny. It's a funny story. Also, there was I used to watch a show all the time, and my mom was like, she didn't like the language in it or something like that because it was a little bit risque, for early '80s, I guess. And
Did she just say kiss my grits?
well, there was we were watching an episode. It was like the wedding episode. I think it was maybe the wedding episode of Vera or something like that. And we didn't have cable at the time, but the antenna went out. And I remember as a kid going, "What the hell?" And my parents
Oh no!
and my
you
parents
blamed it on Alice.
That's it.
my parents looked at me like, "What did you just say?" I clearly remember because it's the first time, I said a bad word, I guess.
Right,
but
right.
it's encased in my memory with the show. It wasn't the Christmas episode, but it was Alice.
I don't really remember that much.
Fudge.
The one I remember more is the when Mel gets Christmas caroled.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
There,
one I
there's
really-
also there's also one where they're in a truck and they get stuck in the snow.
Oh,
That's
I
a
do
that's a
remember
better
that, yeah.
Christmas one too. This was not a great one. But this season, at this point, this was when Flo was gone. It was probably on their third or fourth, waitress who replaced her, and it just wasn't as good. So,
Gotcha.
Punky Brewster, yes, Punky, there is a Santa Claus.
Classic.
I loved Punky Brewster.
Yeah,
Loved
so
it.
I think a couple of you guys had this one on here, or someone had this one on here. I think.
I had it on mine.
Okay, so Mike, what do you remember about this?
Oh, this is the one where Punky's all excited about Christmas, and all her friends are excited about Christmas, but some older kid in school tells them, there's not really a Santa Claus, so she starts to doubt. And so she decides, okay, I'm going to prove there's a Santa. Well, no, what happens is Henry overhears this. He decides to go over to their school as Santa Claus. And so when everybody sits on his lap and when it's Punky's turn, she asks, I want my mother back for Christmas. That's all I want. And I know you'll get it for me because you're really Santa. So now Henry's stuck trying to find Punky's mother. He goes all over the city trying to help. He calls the police. Doesn't have any luck. On his way back, he stops in this store that he's never even seen before, and it's called Nick's Nook. And the proprietor of the store is this older gentleman in red and glasses and white hair. No beard though. It's like it's Santa. Spoilers, kids. But it's weird because he doesn't have a beard. Tells him his predicament, and Nick gives him this lovely little hand-carved music box. And when he gives it to Punky on Christmas morning, it's playing the song that Punky and her mom used to sing together. And that's how you know it's really Santa. So that's the miracle at the end. It's really a really heartwarming. It's a two-parter.
It's a
really
long
great.
one. It's a 2 episode.
It's a 2-episode deal.
And it doesn't need
But
to
worth
be. Because it's a very
Probably not, but
No.
I'm not sad that it is.
yeah.
It didn't drag for me.
It did a little bit for me, but I did like it, and you feel for Punky because she's not gonna have her mom. I don't even think they ever found her mom, or maybe they did.
No,
but...
they don't find her until the reboot in the 2020s.
Oh
Wow.
Yeah.
Is the reboot any good?
No,
Okay.
it's all right.
Well,
they
there-
have
there
a
you go.
moment, she reunites with her mom, and it is nice to have that closure, I guess. And they got pretty much everybody back for the reboot, so it's fun to see everybody again as adults.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't really remember watching Punky Brewster. I remember the cartoon more than I remember the show.
Yeah,
Yeah. with
it's all kind
Gomer,
of blends
right?
together for me.
It does.
Oh, I
yeah.
got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Mark says both of my sisters love Punky Brewster, so I'm sure I've seen it, but I don't really remember it. I loved Punky. I remember watching
Punky's
this. Yeah, I remember watching the show. I probably saw this episode when it aired, but I did have fun re-watching all of these because and then I think in our previous in '85 there was the episode with Ralphie from The Christmas Story gets her to do something.
Oh
and-
yeah,
Oh,
Shoplifters, I
yes.
think.
yeah. So it that one is a great one
Stealing,
too.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Shoplifting?
he
Yeah.
shoplifts. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he gets her to do it and stuff. So Punky Brewster had some pretty good Christmas episodes. I think there was 3 of them, and I enjoyed all 3. So, but let's go back to 1982. Newhart,
Ooh,
No Room
yeah.
at the Inn.
Yeah,
Now,
this
see,
is one of my
show that, yeah.
This is your jam.
this is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. Newhart was one of those shows that I remember watching all the time with my parents. If you were to ask me to name an episode, before I had to cover this for my show, I wouldn't have been able to. But everybody knows, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, right? Larry is my brother. They're not in this one really. This is with Kurt, and it's awesome though. It's so fun. They find this huge tree to bring in because they really want to get in the festive spirit, and they don't have enough decorations. Kurt is upset because his love interest is going home for the holidays, so he's just completely bummed out. And then she's snowed in, so he ends up trying to do his best to make Christmas awesome for her. There's like a bunch of doctors that are coming over to spend Christmas skiing, and then there's like a pregnant woman named Mary and her husband Joseph who come in, and there actually is no room at their inn because all the doctors are there. So it's typical deadpan Bob Newhart humor but it's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of early Newhart, but I like this episode. I think they were still playing around with the formula, and obviously 2 of the cast members disappeared. Yeah. You know what took me back though is it looks like a soap opera in the first season.
Right.
You know, it's like filmed with it doesn't look like a real TV show.
Right.
A little Vaseline on the lens.
Yeah.
That's right.
And also it really does feel like a stage. Like you're watching a play almost. And it doesn't feel like that later on in the later seasons, but I don't know. I found that this one was funny. I did like the Bob Newhart humor is it's something you really have to love. I think, but,
that's true.
This was one of those shows. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was
go. Gotta love this. This is one of those shows like Gerry said, my parents watched it. They were big fans of Newhart, and I know I watched all the episodes, but once again, if someone said, tell me an episode about Newhart, I'll be like, I remember Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, but I didn't remember I couldn't remember any episodes. But watching the clips from this is like, it's like I remember it, but I don't. It's just that part of it's in my subconscious, but I haven't watched them in so long to remember a lot of them. But my parents loved the Newhart, this version of the Newhart.
And other than the episode where they take the Christmas card picture, there's not really a Newhart Christmas episode. So this is really, if you were like, I need to watch a Christmas episode of Newhart, this is the one you got to watch because it really is the only one, which is surprising.
The kicker is at the end, there's a car that breaks down, and this guy comes in. He wants to use the phone, and he asks if his 2 brothers can come, if there's room for his 2 brothers, and their last name is Wiseman. So, it's very moonlighting, right?
So Mark says, yes, I love Newhart. And Pepper Tree Villa says, yep, this is from the first season. And Larry, Daryl, and Daryl made appearances in the first season, but didn't come regulars until they brought the Minuteman Cafe from Kirk. So
right.
I like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the first season. I probably need to rewatch it. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I will enjoy it. But I remember as a kid not liking it. But once they brought in Julie Duffy and Larry, Daryl, and Daryl became regulars and stuff, that's when the show really got good. So
yeah,
cool. 83, the best Christmas pageant ever.
Man.
Now, again, this is a movie. I tried to find the full movie. I could not find a version of it. I found clips of it.
Really?
Yeah. I had a hard time finding a good version of like the full movie because I've never seen it. I've not seen the new one.
It was on YouTube.
Yeah, I've read the book.
On YouTube,
I read the book. So I need to watch both versions of this. But which version should I watch? This one or the new one?
I haven't seen the new one yet.
I haven't seen the new one either.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
But this was a staple. Like we read the book. I remember reading the book in elementary school, and then every year after that in elementary school, it would be played on a VCR at school during Christmas. Like we
wheel it into the classroom.
Exactly. So we're like,
right.
I loved it when they brought up some of my friends were like, oh my God, we got to watch this again. I was like, yes, let's watch it again. Cause
man,
I don't remember them replaying it on TV like every year. So somebody to have a video of it was always like really cool to be able to watch it again.
Yeah.
And this is extremely faithful to the book. This is probably one of the most faithful adaptations of anything I've ever seen. They hit every joke, joke. It's really well done.
I'll have to look for the hard thing to do is because that new movie came out, when you do a search for it, and then
all you get is the new stuff.
And you could put in the year, but that doesn't always work. So, and again, once I found a clip of it, I knew I wasn't going to review it. In my videos, I either show, I feature it or I have just a tiny little clip. I found a clip of it and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to use that. Yeah. But, I'm going to have to go searching for this some more because I'm intrigued. One, I didn't know it existed until I did my research. And two, I haven't seen. I have now maybe have to watch both. Maybe I have a video idea in my future is which version's better, the 83 one or the 24 one. So
there you go.
This is going to be tough to beat. It's really good. It is the on-screen debut of tiny little actress Fairuza Balk, who's the narrator character. So that's worth it. This is like before Return to Oz. It's before The Worst Witch.
before we were all scarred with Return to Oz. And the Wheelers.
I loved Return to Oz.
Yeah,
I did too. But
that
the Wheelers
explains a lot about me, I guess.
The Wheelers scared the crap out of me. And then Mumby with the head. So it was just like, no, don't take my head.
Oh, it was all goofy to me.
Maybe Ben was talking about. Maybe Ben's talking about Newhart here, but he said I recently watched this episode, hilarious. So maybe he's talking about Newhart. I bet that just came in. So
yeah.
Okay. 1984, the one everyone wanted to talk about. Gremlins. I mean, it is. It is. Yeah. It is the best Christmas horror movie. It is one of the best things from 1984. I think we all love it, but and I'm sure we have all talked about it on our show at some point.
Right. I've covered it on my show twice.
I have not because I stick to TV mostly, but
yeah.
Well, this
I love Gremlins. They marketed Gremlins to kids. I had little Gizmo toys when I was 4 or 5 years old.
My parents took me to see this.
And we're like, what did I take my child to? That's how it was with it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was a big problem. This movie is why we have a PG-13 rating.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. This and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Steven Spielberg.
That's another one that I'll never forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this on HBO. This was where we had just got HBO. We had and I was amazed because if we could finally watch movies, because we didn't have and truth be told, our cable sucked even it was probably 1985 that I saw this.
Right.
But I remember watching it on HBO because I had heard all about it. We didn't have a VCR yet because no one could afford it. But when we got HBO, that's when all of a sudden we were like, wow, I can watch all of these different movies. And I loved this movie. I remember recording it when we did get a VCR and watching that movie over and over again. It was such a great time.
Well, that's the thing. It's really clever. It's really well done. And when you're a kid, you don't really see all of the jokes or everything going on. You just, or at least I was young. I was just scared of the Gremlins. I thought Gizmo was awesome and the Gremlins were terrifying. But going back and rewatching it, it's like, wow, this was some really good writing from Chris Columbus back in the day. And, it's just, the score is great by Jerry Goldsmith. It's just in total, and Phoebe Cates, was like Wow. So yeah, it's good stuff.
And speaking of Phoebe Cates, the scene where she talks about her dad.
Yes.
Goodness.
Yes.
This is why my kids haven't watched this yet.
Same. Exactly. Exactly.
I remember we were watching it, and my mom knew this scene was in here. And I was old enough at this point, and so she wasn't worried about me, but she was distracting my youngest brother, like, so he wasn't paying attention because she was trying to make sure she did.
Wow.
He did not, yeah, I clearly remember that. It's because she let him watch this, which I was surprised. As my parents were very strict on what movies we could watch, but I think she forgot about it. And so when we were watching it and that scene came up, my mom was just like, Mike, like, just really trying to keep it.
Right. That's right.
And so, that's the part I really, really remember about Gremlins and watching this back in the 80s. So
I still have some of the records. It was like it was a little book with the record.
Yep.
And it would tell the story. I still have a few.
The really long record?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have mine, but I did have those. Yeah.
Yeah, mine I think are actually right here. Yep. Here we go.
Of course, they're within arm's reach. Well done.
Well, sorry. Not to be outdone, but I have my records of Return of the Jedi. I have all my Star Wars.
Yeah.
Mine are in a drawer over there. I got the Muppets Take Manhattan on a read-along book.
There you go.
Those are awesome.
I don't have any records. I feel left out. So, Gremlins to be such a cozy movie. So,
yeah.
Yep.
I
remember watching it right after it came out and was scared to death.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's go back to 1982. Too Close for Comfort. And Tim,
this
I think
was
you
my
put
show.
Yeah.
Another one that, like, I'd get home from school and the reruns of this were on, and I just fell in love with this show. And so a couple of years ago, I found it on. It might have been on Tubi or Pluto TV.
It's on Tubi. Yeah, it's on Tubi.
Yeah. So I started watching it from the beginning again, and I saw this episode, and I told Gerry, I was like, "Hey, you need an episode on Too Close for Comfort, this Christmas episode. It's really good." And so, but yeah, this was one of my favorite shows as a kid. And even watching it again now, it still holds, a lot of it still holds up. And this was kind of later in the series when, her mom is there, Audrey, and they had the baby. So, but Too Close for Comfort was a fun show. And this was a great Christmas episode for sure.
I just remember it had Ted Knight, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Ted Knight was he was a cartoon artist. That was his job, and he worked at home. So
this was a weird episode, though. It got a little, I won't say racist. It was a little. It got close.
The clip you showed in your video,
I was like, too close.
Yeah,
for comfort.
For comfort.
Well, there you go.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I mean, he opens up the door. The Santa was invited by one of his daughters, and she of course didn't tell him that, which makes it the humor. That's where the humor comes in. And he opens up the door and he goes, "There's a black Santa in my living room," and they're like. Black Santa, and Monroe of course is all confused. Like, it just gets a little uncomfortable. It does not, and then of course he calls the police on him, which really kind of but in the end he comes around. So I don't want to say it's direct. It did get a little close, which is called Too Close for Comfort. This was a show that I clearly remember because the daughters in this show were the standouts for me as a young boy. But also, Monroe was one of the funniest characters on TV at the time as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So he
really became the standout. Once he became a regular is when it really kind of hit its stride.
Yeah. On Hollywood Squares? Is that
he was on Hollywood Squares.
What's his name?
Yep. Jim J. Bullock. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Cosmic Cow. Yes, that
was the cartoon.
That was the cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it's a fun show. I need to rewatch more episodes of it. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I haven't
since
really
I
watched
have.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1983.
Yeah.
Deck the halls with wacky walls. I had never seen this until I had to do 1983. So I had no idea that this is something you guys were all into.
I know nothing about this. I'll say that up front.
Yeah.
This was outside of my radar. So
this is proof that they really did try and make a TV special about everything.
Anything.
In the 80s. This is about, you remember the wacky wall walkers toys that they would put in cereal boxes? They made they made a whole backstory about them, about how they're actually aliens from another galaxy, and they find this new star in the sky. So they travel 2,000 light years to Earth to try and figure out what that star is.
Yep.
okay.
And then they have a gross cafeteria dinner.
Yeah, they
Christmas
go
dinner
to a
from the
mall
cafeteria.
and try, because the mall is decorated, and basically you see a bunch of people in the mall really commercializing Christmas, so they are very confused about what Christmas is all about. One of them find Christmas is about tuna noodle casserole.
Oof.
They find this really, really spoiled kid who says teaches them Christmas is about getting whatever you want. Your parents have to get it for you. And then they run into this orphanage of kids, and they're being told the Christmas story about the star in the sky. And this is where they learn about the star. It's like, actually, it sounds like Christmas is about giving and about this thing that happened a long time ago. And that
then the
warms
spoiled
the
kid.
kid's heart,
Yeah.
and he decides that the money he raised to get a Christmas present for himself, he wanted this toy car. That was $1,000.
Well, I was going to say, toy car for $1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Well, and his dad's like, that's more than I paid for our car.
1983.
Wow.
You know, I'm with Tim. I had never heard of this. I mean, I knew the toys, but
Right.
I didn't watch the special. I took a little clip of it. I could one, the quality I had was really bad, but it seems like it seems like this is a fun special. Maybe I mean,
they really did throw it at the wall and see what stuck, right?
Well, they did. Yeah, it's neat. It's got an all-star cast of voices: Dawes Butler, Tress MacNeille, Peter Cullen,
Frank
as
Welker,
all of these wall walkers. Frank Welker's in there.
All right, let's go on to 84. The Bells of Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Loved Fraggle Rock. Still,
yeah, I did too.
This is a great episode.
Yeah. No, this was a lot of fun. This is one of the ones where Gobo doesn't want to participate in the holidays, and he's determined to find the center of the rock. It was center, right? Yeah, the center of the rock.
Yeah. So
it's basically, he discovers that he was already at the center of the rock or whatever.
Yes, he wasn't trying to find the center; he was trying to find the heart, and the
heart.
heart is
Yes,
in all the other
that's it.
Fraggles. So the Fraggles celebrate the Festival of the Bells around Christmas time. This whole special is about winter holidays. And Doc is teaching Sprocket about other. This is where I learned about Saturnalia. This Fraggle Rock. Doc is teaching Sprocket about other Christmas holidays throughout history and where we get a lot of our Christmas traditions from. Meanwhile, Gobo's down in Fraggle Rock being the guy from the song Christmas Shoes, just sour about the whole thing.
Oh, no. Gobo was always my favorite Fraggle, too.
Yeah, this is really out of character for Gobo, but he's like, this holiday doesn't have any meaning to me, and he tries to find meaning by finding the Great Bell. And he doesn't realize until the end that the Great Bell isn't an actual thing. It's the noise that everybody's bell makes to keep the rock moving, or else it freezes. Like, all of his friends, freeze over. Like, it gets so cold that everybody freezes because they're not ringing their bells to keep them warm. And so Gobo finally saves them by ringing his bell and getting everyone else to ring their bells. And it's such a great special.
Yeah.
You know, it is great. I love this one. And then whenever we go to the Muppet Family Christmas and we have to relive another Christmas kind of Fraggle Rock celebration where all they do is share a pebble, it's just not the same.
It's not, but that was a different episode. Like the Pebble thing happened in another Fraggle Rock episode, so there was continuity there.
Okay. It's just not as good, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Fraggle Rock was amazing show. I've not
McDonald's
visited
toys were awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you guys
Yeah, they
watched
were.
the newer episodes of this?
Yes, I have. They have
I haven't.
another holiday episode. It's called Night of the Lights. Also, really, really good.
I have to.
If
'cause
you
that
have-
is something I have not done yet. Whoop.
Well, it's
Yeah.
on Apple TV Plus, so it's not
Gotcha.
very accessible. But if you have Apple TV Plus, it is a very worthy continuation of Fraggle Rock. They do a very good job of that.
Awesome. Cool. All right. 1982, Ziggy's Gift.
Yeah.
Again, back to we'll make
another
a
one,
special out of
yeah.
anything.
Yeah, that's what I put this one on my list because I remember reading the Ziggy comics in the newspaper.
Mhm.
And when I saw this on your video, I was like, this is the 80s that I loved, where anything that was a comic strip, anything like
Yeah.
kind of like you said earlier, Mike.
BC,
made a
there was
t-
a BC
Yeah,
special.
BC. Yeah, the
For
BC
better, for
special. Yeah.
worse, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tried to
So-
make specials out of all of those comics.
Yeah. But this one was one that I don't really remember if I watched it or if I'm sure I did, but I just remember that brought the nostalgia of like the comics that I read in the newspaper, or the Sunday funny papers, to then have their own special around the holidays was really cool for me. So that's why I picked Ziggy's Gift.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like, hey, there's this character that never speaks. Let's make a whole TV special about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That makes
Exactly.
sense.
They have the characters around them doing all the talking, and it's a lot
Right.
of just
It's a
silent
nice special.
movie
Yeah.
gags with
Mhm.
Ziggy here. He's
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
short to see into his own mirror, so he has to like climb up his drawer just to
Mhm.
brush his teeth. It's good
The
times.
The Irish cop, stereotype.
Oh, the Irish cop! What are you doing on this corner? Because Ziggy like volunteers as a bell ringing Santa, but he does it through this shady company who's like trying to
That's
pocket
so
all the money. But
That's so funny.
something about Ziggy, he kind of keeps the money away from them, and like he's doing good deeds. He finds a homeless person that he helps out. He like
Mhm.
saves a bunch of Christmas turkeys from getting cooked. He like frees them all, so that's a whole scene of turkeys just going nuts on the screen.
It's almost
There's
Mr.
this,
Bean.
like-
Yes.
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
kind of Mr. Beanish. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, he's not sure. He doesn't know what's really kind of going around him, but he does good deeds. So
Yeah.
and the thief. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a thief. There's another bell ringing Santa who's trying to steal the money from his pot, but they all end up again back at an orphanage. Something about
It's-
Christmas specials
it's Christmas
and
time.
orphanages.
That's right.
Yeah, and so they all end up singing Silent Night and helping out these kids. And
Yeah. It's good times.
There it is.
1983,
Yep.
Christmas Story. I mean, one of the greatest Christmas movies ever made. You know, again, we've all talked about this at some point. We've brought it up. But of course, we have to at least acknowledge it as it was one of the best parts of 1983. So
There's
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
that shoplifter right there. Let's look into the eyes of a
There he
criminal.
is.
Puggy Brewster.
That's right.
Instead of talking about the 83 movie, what did you guys think of the sequel that came out a
Which-
couple years ago?
a
new
Christmas
one?
story.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I like
Yeah.
it too.
But I've
Yeah.
only, I have not revisited. I watched it the one time. I was like,
Same.
this is a good
Yeah.
little revisit to all of these characters
Mhm.
and tying
Yeah.
that story back together.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I rewatched it this year because I watched it when it first came out, and I'm like,
Mhm.
they didn't ruin it. you
Right,
know,
right.
Like,
Yeah,
I
well,
guess
yeah, that's
it could
what
have been
everybody's worried
worse.
about, right?
it could- yeah, and I was like, okay, that was fine. enjoyed seeing all the characters again. Good. You know, it's not Christmas Story 2. You know,
Right,
bad.
right.
Well, they made that, and it was
Yeah. We
Right,
don't speak
right.
of that one.
But I rewatched it, and I actually have to say it's worth watching again. And I think you may enjoy it more because I think the first time I was just like, oh, please just don't let this suck.
Right,
You know?
right, right.
And it's got a little bit of a heart to it, and I
Mhm.
really
Yeah,
It does, yeah.
and I really did enjoy that. I'm not sure I buy that the old man was the biggest Christmas fan in the world.
Right, right.
I think that was a little much, but you know,
I mean, he does buy him the BB gun, right?
He
at the
does.
end of this
Does.
one. So, kind of, but
You're
I know
starting
what
to
you mean,
see that through Ralphie's eyes as an adult and as a father through this. And I really felt for him, like trying to make a great Christmas for his family, like
Mhm.
how he remembers Christmases,
Mhm.
and his old man just getting Christmas ready for everybody. And
Right.
that's real. That's a real feeling I have as a parent, and I'm trying to make the
Mhm.
best Christmas as I can for my
Mhm.
kids.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Mark says it's iconic. Christmas Story. Yellow eyes. He had yellow eyes. Yep. All right. 1984, A Christmas Carol with George C. Scott. Something I
This
did
is
not
so good.
watch until a long time later because I was not watching A Christmas Carol versions. And obviously, this is not the version that we all saw because we all watched the Mickey's Christmas Carol.
The
So,
Mickey,
Right,
yeah.
right. Exactly.
but
Yeah.
this is probably one of the best ones.
I remember them showing this on TV, but I also remember changing the channel when it would come on. Like now that I've watched it as I'm older, I actually kind of appreciate a lot of its takes on the different on the story. But overall, I think I prefer the actual like movie score, like the music, than I do the movie itself. But George C.
It is a
Scott does an
very good
admirable
score.
job, and
Mhm.
some of the makeup is it is what it is, but it's a serviceable and actually quite enjoyable movie. But at the time in the 80s, for sure, I was like, all right, next. What else is on?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch this as a kid in the 80s. I didn't watch this until I was a young adult in my 20s. But when I started getting more interested in finding all these Christmas specials and A Christmas Carol adaptations, I wouldn't say it's the most book accurate version, but it's definitely one of the best produced
Mhm.
versions of A Christmas Carol. They make a lot of good decisions here. They give Scrooge a lot more backstory. You see him like doing more
Right.
business at the beginning. They have like this real weird long tangent about him like arguing over the price of corn that he's trying to sell, but you see him being
That's right.
very stingy, and that's how they do that. But one of my favorite characters in this is Edward Woodward as the Ghost of Christmas Present. He is a very sassy Ghost of Christmas Present, which I like. And you read that in the original Dickens text, and not
Yeah.
a lot of versions really can capture that level of sass that Edward Woodward, I think, does one of the best jobs of it.
Mm-hmm.
What
Are
I
there no
found,
workhouses?
what I found interesting is when I did my research, I didn't realize this was just a TV movie.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought this was like something that showed in theaters and then it just ran on TV a lot. No, it was produced for TV. It was aired first time on TV, and I was like, wow, I had no clue. You know,
I recall, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I think in the UK they actually did
It did.
show it
It
in
did.
theaters.
So it was produced as a movie, but premiered on TV on CBS, and then in the UK it was released in theaters.
okay,
Mhm.
so, but that's interesting. Older I get, the more I enjoy this movie, and I resonate with the message. I love it. So
Nice.
All right, the greatest action.
Yeah. Another
The greatest
Christmas-based
action movie ever made, and it's a Christmas movie.
with Christmas lights in the background. Yes.
It's definitely Christmas adjacent.
Yes.
Yes.
But
First
it's
Blood.
Rambo, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, yes.
You can't, it's right up there with McClane and Riggs and
Yeah, exactly.
John Rambo. There you go.
Yeah. I did a live broadcast last year where we did movies that are Christmas adjacent that you would consider to be more of a Christmas movie. And I said First Blood, and everyone on the panel said no. And I was like, but there's Christmas lights and there's a tiny little tree in the police office.
There's a tree.
Right,
Yeah, that's
right.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it takes place around Christmas. So it's a Christmas movie, right? I mean,
Yep.
I think all four of us would agree.
I mean, I go by
counts.
Todd Killian's rules from Christmas Clatter, so might as well.
If you see Christmas in it, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I love Rambo First Blood. To me it's such a great movie. I remember watching this as a kid. I shouldn't have, but I did. Probably when we got HBO. That's most likely when I first saw it. But it's such a great movie. So they drew First Blood, not me. All I wanted was something to eat.
That's right.
Who among us?
Nothing is over.
All right,
Yes.
Mike, you suggested this one, the first Walt Disney World Very Merry Christmas Day Parade.
Yeah, so the Walt Disney World Christmas Day Parade debuted in 1983.
Yep.
Who were the hosts? Mike Douglas and was it Joan London?
Joan London, I think. Yeah.
Joan London, yeah. But
It's good times.
it was it was good. It was a very interesting thing to watch because they tried to be it's not your traditional, it's not like the Thanksgiving Day Parade because you're in the Magic Kingdom, you got people in the park, and Disney's trying to make it a show. So you have a lot of it's almost Keystone Cops-esque vibes with a lot of these floats going down Main Street. And I
thought it was well done.
Yeah. It was very well done, and it's a tradition that's still going on today. I have been to a taping of the Christmas parade, and I do not recommend being in the part of that unless you really want to be on TV because it is so overproduced. And they warn you ahead of time, look, we're going to be we're making a TV special for Christmas. They tape it in October, November. They're doing cuts, they're doing reshoots. It's not an enjoyable experience to be in the parade and trying to watch them trying to redo all of these shots. But it was interesting.
And I think
I remember. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, is this the one when we talked about it with Trina, little Trina?
Yeah, okay. So one of the bits in this special is they have a little girl of a cast member at Walt Disney World had needed a liver transplant or some sort of transplant.
Right.
So they kind of reached out using the Christmas parade, and they found a donor through this. I found out later. So not only that, but this little Trina girl, she was maybe 2 years old at this, but she grew up to become a transplant surgeon.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and through that met another transplant recipient and married him. So
That's right.
all of that, this whole little girl's life was saved because of this Christmas special.
Wow.
That all blew me away.
And you get to see some people in costume, some characters in costume that you don't normally see, and at least anymore.
Oh yeah, they bring it. No, not anymore. But when Walt Disney World was still, it's only like a 12, 13-year-old park at this point. So you see a lot of side characters from Peter Pan and Robin Hood and Pinocchio. They had Honest John and Gideon the Cat. Who else was in there? There was a lot of real randos.
I don't remember. I just remember it was. They had Jungle Book folks.
They had the Jungle Book, like Captain Hook's ship was one of the floats.
Oh yeah.
I want to say Alice in Wonderland had a float.
I think they did.
Yeah.
Wow. So Pepper Tree Villa, Todd Killian rules.
No, we love Todd.
and
Yeah.
he'll have to tell me it was just referenced. So yeah, let Todd know. Tell him we want to see him back. So and then Mark says, I agree. Christmas lights equal Christmas movie. So referencing Rambo,
There you go.
obviously. Yep. So yeah. So I don't have as much love, I guess, for the parade. I mean, I watched parts of the clips of it, but I agree with you. It doesn't sound like I want to be there when they record it live. So
Nope.
Yeah.
1984, Scooby-Doo,
Yes.
the Nutcracker Scoob.
I love this one. This, I mean, it's basically they try to combine A Christmas Carol and the Nutcracker together, and it's Scooby-Doo, so they kind of make it work, but really it makes no sense. My favorite part about it is that instead of the 3 different ghosts, there's the one villain, who's dressed up as a ghost, called the Ghost of Christmas Never, and like
Right.
all white with the hood and a cape and the robes, and essentially looking for a nice big jewel that they hide in a nutcracker that's put on display for the children's on a tree for the children's Christmas show. And again, orphanages involved, and yeah, it's just typical shenanigans. You do have to put up with Scrappy Doo, but it's okay.
That's the hard part. That for me,
Right,
that's the hard
right.
part. Yeah.
I don't mind Scrappy as much as a lot of people do,
Uh,
but overall, now this was during the time when they didn't have all 5 members. It was Shaggy, Scooby, Scrappy, and Daphne, and then depending on the episode, it was either Fred or Velma. And so I always thought that was kind of odd for Scooby, but I don't know. I guess they got other things going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, they got schedules to keep.
That's right.
1982, The
The
Snowman.
Snowman.
Yeah.
This is up there with one of my favorite Christmas things of all time. Like, I watch it every year. It is not. I only found out like as an adult that this is not popular over here. This is a British staple. They watch it every year. This
Every
is their
year.
Charlie Brown Christmas. This is
Yeah.
their Christmas special. But it's one that I grew up with because it aired on PBS one year and my mom taped it, so I would watch it every year, and I just love this special. It's based on a book by Raymond Briggs, and it's just a picture book with no words about this boy who builds a snowman who comes to life, and they go flying to the North Pole and back, and they keep the style it's of that like colored pencil that's used in the original book, and it just looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's I was shocked that I thought everybody watched that here. I don't know how I saw
Yeah.
it was, but
No, I'd never
Never
heard of
saw
it
it.
till a few years ago.
wow.
Same.
Yeah. I don't know
Same.
how I watched this, but I remember watching this in the 80s. It must have aired at some point on TV.
Well, and there's
it
like
had-
3
it
different
was-
versions too, as well.
Well, there are
Yeah.
3 different versions, but the one I remember was from 1986, and it has an introduction by David Bowie,
David Bowie, yeah.
who's up in the attic. He's like being this boy character you see, and he has a scarf that he made. And his son, Duncan Jones, recently, a few years ago, found the original scarf from that intro.
That's so cool.
And it's in very good condition, so the spirit of the snowman is alive and well.
What I remember most
Oh.
about it is the song "Walking on the Air,"
Mhm.
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
sung by Alan Jones, and then I just found out recently Rainbow. I don't know if you guys know the band Rainbow. They were so if you took Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple, like their lead guitarist, he formed Rainbow afterwards, and Ronnie James Dio was the singer. And anyway, they actually covered this in the early 80s. They have a version
Oh.
of that Snowman song, and it's really cool. It's just instrumental. It's just
Oh, I gotta
really
check it out now.
atmospheric and moody. It's
Yeah.
great.
No,
Cool.
Alan Jones is actually a cover of it too. They re-recorded it for like some Toys R Us commercial or something. The original is by some other choir kid, but by the time they were trying to do that Toys R Us commercial, his voice had cracked, so they had to get Alan Jones.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Uh,
1983, Trading Places.
Trading Places.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Merry New Year. I mean, this is great. I mean, this is another one like until a couple years ago, I'd never thought about this as being a Christmas movie, and then watching it again was like, oh, this is so a Christmas movie.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd are hilarious. It's one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies for sure, and Dan Aykroyd movies. So
when he pulls the salmon out of his beard,
yes,
he's like,
yes,
no, man, no.
that greatest scene. And then he's eating it on the bus. He pulls it out on the bus, and ladies,
that's a hard pass, man.
Yeah. So
this is one of those movies. This is one of those movies. Go ahead, Mike.
A lot of this was filmed in Philadelphia, and I used to work in Center City, so I like to watch this. And just like, oh, I used to work near there.
Cool. That's cool.
And this is one of those movies that I saw on HBO. I probably shouldn't have. I did.
Yep.
Yeah, well.
And
Jamie Lee Curtis looking at you.
Yes. But I love it. I love this movie. I haven't watched this in a while. I need to. I mean, I covered it in '83, but I didn't rewatch it because I had seen it so many times. But I think I might have to put this back into the rotation for this year. So
yeah, I did. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and like 4 or 5 years ago, like people were talking about it a lot, and so I bought it, and now I watch it every year. It's on my yearly Christmas list now. Yeah, cool. For sure.
All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about, and we all wanted to talk about it.
I mean, it's Mr. T and Emmanuel Lewis
and Mr. T.
It doesn't get more 80s than this special right
here.
This is the
yes,
80s
very few
special.
things more 80s than this.
Yeah, I remember. I don't think I had seen this until a few years ago. I heard it existed.
Same.
It's not like I went and sought it out, but when I needed to do it for the channel, I'm like, okay, now it's time to really sit and watch this. And I actually watched it. I watched the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow, the 80s, they were like, Mr. T, Webster, they're huge. Let's just put them in a special.
Mash them up. Yep.
This is such a time capsule of a special. Like this embodies Christmas of 1984 in pop culture, especially with these two. They're not like playing themselves. It's not like they're playing characters.
Right.
And Emmanuel Lewis is this kid who's sour about Christmas because his parents are never home. They're both working, and Mr. T trying to explain, well, your parents are both working to provide you with a good Christmas. You ever think of that? So Mr. T's character proceeds to take Emmanuel Lewis around New York City on what was described to me as the greatest date of all time. They go to
watch the Rockettes, take a horse-drawn carriage.
They go see the Rockettes rehearse. They go to the Rockefeller Center ice skating rink, and they see two like Olympic ice skaters do a routine. They go to FAO Schwartz and like go shopping for toys. They meet David Copperfield there.
David Copperfield hitting on a little girl.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
he puts on a concert. Who was it? Maureen McGovern is the singer that they meet there.
She sings directly at him too. Like she's like almost like holding his hands, and it's just like it's a very just like very close.
Well, and we also get ventriloquism in it also.
Oh.
Yeah, Lester, Willie Tyler and Lester is in this. Oh, it's so great.
And Emmanuel Lewis dances.
He
Emmanuel Lewis dances.
He totally
he
does.
sings Santa Claus is coming to town, and he cuts a rug, man.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it's I think we've said it all.
You have to watch this.
This is definitely a must-watch. Yeah,
I pity the fool.
Yes, I pity the fool who doesn't watch this.
Right, I was going to say that.
It is a time capsule. This will transport you back to 1984.
Yeah, I put this together for 84. I went and I sought out the best version I could find online because I really wanted to make sure I covered this because it's so fascinating.
They have versions with all the commercials kept in.
They do,
times. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because there was a special for 82. It's like the NBC Family Christmas. And I searched hard to find it. And all I could find was like a little commercial advertising it.
Yeah, I've seen
this thing is everywhere. The Mr. T and
And
Yours.
yet, I had not seen or heard of this until a few years ago, and I am so glad that I discovered it.
I mean, I was kind of like y'all. I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it until a few years ago as well. But I remember seeing this picture. In fact, this particular picture on the internet for years, and just never knowing what it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those that like you have to watch it. Like you just have to, because it is so weird and unusual, and just everything about it screams like 80s that you gotta sit through it, force yourself to sit through some of the musical numbers, but the plot is pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
I like it. Like, again, it takes me places.
So Pepper Tree Villa, I've still never seen it. Okay, Pepper Tree Villa.
It's on YouTube.
Go
it is
to
on
YouTube. You
do yourself
after
a
this
favor.
is over, go to YouTube, watch it tonight, talk about it on your
Treat
show
yourself.
tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, we actually got through all of that in an hour and a half, and I'm
Sweet.
impressed.
I'm impressed. Yeah.
I am very impressed. So, where can what's going on with your shows? What's coming up this year, Gerry?
So the last really month I've been focused more on getting the Raddies out. So I haven't. I have a whole schedule, but I haven't scheduled anybody on it yet. But there's a lot of things that are going to come out. We're going to be talking again about Alf. We're going to be talking. Gosh, I don't even know. I have to look at what I have coming up. But a lot of cool stuff that you'll see. We're doing a terrible Christmas horror called Don't Open Till Xmas. It's bad. Like it's super low budget. The guy's going around killing Santa Clauses. It was actually a lost episode. I'd recorded it back in October. Was supposed to air it, and some of the audio was messed up. And I think Ron Hogan, who
of course
he was a little upset that it didn't qualify him for a Ratty this year.
No.
But I finally got the audio straightened out. So
good.
I'll be editing that soon. So yeah.
Oh, I'm
it'll be good.
intrigued now.
It's bad. Like there's no need to watch it, but it's.
I'm gonna watch it. You've made the sale. Stop selling.
Right.
I gotcha.
It's
And then
low
a few
budget,
other
I'm in.
specials and things here and there. I don't recall off the top of my head. It's a full list. I just need to actually schedule people to cover it.
Cool.
So.
Well, I'm prepared to get that special, that recording that's going to get me my Ratty for next year, right?
All right, I will
All right,
put
do
your
it.
name down on one of those.
Mike, what's going on with you?
Well, the Advent Calendar House is currently in suspended animation. I'll be back Christmas in July. I did a little April Fool where I fooled you, but I will be back at the beginning of July with an episode about the Futurama Xmas specials. So,
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's great.
Very cool.
And Tim?
So 80s Flick Flashback, we're gearing up for our summer series. We did a summer of sequels last year, 2 years ago, I think so. Anyway, it all blends together. We're doing Summer of Sequels 2, Revenge of the Sequels. So we're doing all part 3 movies. So
This time it's personal.
at this time, yeah, Karate Kid 3, Rambo 3, Halloween 3. So yeah, if there was a third of the 80s movies, we're gonna cover it. But also this summer, doing some format changes. Gonna be doing some video podcasting, kind of like this, not live, but doing it on video as well. So excited about that. But definitely check it out if you haven't listened to any episodes yet. But always fun.
Awesome. And so what's going on with me? If you have not seen it, and I keep pushing it because it was something that took me a long time to put together, Christmas Every Day, the 1996 Christmas ABC Family Special. I went and I found all of the filming locations for this movie that nobody asked for. Nobody asked for it, but I did. I found all the places, including the ice cream parlor, which was very, very hard to find. Then, of course, reason why we're here, we're talking about the year in Christmas, 1982. my series that I've been counting down the 80s. I have 2 years left, which is crazy. 1981, 1980. I'm not sure how great those ones are going to be because I really feel like you're starting to lose the 80s coolness the lower you go.
Right.
And it starts to feel more 70s, which I think is probably going to what 1981 and 1980 are going to really feel like. But and coming in November, the year in Christmas, 1990 is going to premiere, and we're going to count up to the 90s.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking forward to that. It took me it's going to take me a little over 2 years to do a decade. So I have envisioned it's going to take me another 2 years to do the 90s, and then I'll probably move to the 70s because I think that's probably the next best thing. And of course, next week I've been doing this. I've been trying to do it live almost every week, only because the software costs so much money, and I need to justify it. But also, it's actually a lot of fun to come on live and have a set schedule. But next week, I started about a month and a half ago, talking to Hallmark fans. We're trying to identify what are going to be the top 100 Hallmark Christmas movies of all time. And I had 4 guests on, and we identified a few of them. And I have more guests coming on next week for round 2. Those guests include Andrea, a Hallmark fan on Instagram, and then Jennifer from I Watch What You Watch on YouTube. Alonzo Duralde is going to come on and tell me which movies are probably the best movies I should be showing, and he's actually a critic, so we should probably listen to him. But the guy who knows everything about Hallmark movies, Seth from the Christmas Cousin podcast, is going to come on. He's going to tell me which ones that he has seen. I don't know necessarily. We're going to have to listen to him because I think he's only seen 12 of them, so I expect the recommended movies that he's seen are basically going to be on that list, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun episode. That's next Sunday. So if you're interested in watching that, please join me. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. We've been counting down the 80s. We're going to do 1981 when it comes out. We'll do 1980 when it comes out. See if it's how much 80s goodness to those years have. And then we'll talk about the 90s if you guys want, and we'll continue this. I don't know if Gerry's allowed to talk about it. I mean,
I got 3 transition years in there.
Yeah, he's got a leak, like a overbleed area.
That's right. It's really just because I wanted to talk about Muppet Christmas Carol, and so I was like, you know what, we're just gonna extend it a little bit this way, and so
it's just gonna keep creeping, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Everybody have a great evening. We'll see you next week. Make sure you check out all of these guys' podcasts. They're all great. And we'll see you next week. And remember, I'm the Christmas aficionado. Stay off the night list.